will be contemplating, thinking through what we've just seen. And probably you can understand why I thought this was a very good clip to start with at the top, to get us thinking deeply. And just as I was watching this, and I thought again crossed my mind. A friend of mine, one of the best camera people in Uganda, one of the best photographers in Uganda, is a Muslim. He's filmed, he's a photographer for some leading newspapers in Uganda. During Ramadan, at the start of Ramadan, he gets a big job. Some international organization was going to visit farmers. And when they were going to visit farmers, well, they had some demonstration farms that they had to be visiting. So they were taking camera crews for photography, for video, and for radio. They get to the last minute and they say they do not have enough space, but they want him because they had contracted him for good money. Good money. It's about 8-9 million Ugandan shillings. And for a journalist who is earning 300, 400, 500,000, you understand what 7, 8, 9 million means. They decided to go. They had got some visitors from the United States of America, and they were going to visit a pig farm. It was specific. They just left out the cows, the goats. They just wanted to go to a piggery project because piggery now is a very big, profitable venture at the moment in Uganda. Uganda is actually almost overtaking China in the consumption of pork just within a decade or 2 decades now. And they insist that you are our camera person, you are the person we've contracted. He says, can I get you another cameraman to come and do the job? Because, well, one, I'm Muslim, and two, I'm in Ramadan. I mean, combining these two just makes it so hard for me to go specifically to go and promote a piggery project. It's not like farming in general where you'll have goats and pigs are part of the process, but putting me straight into this. And it looked like one of those big tests. He gives me a call and says, Sheikh KAYIRA, assalamu alaikum. Here is the situation. I'm in desperate need of money. I was having a difficult situation, you know, with the land that I purchased, a house that is half built. This amount of money is a life changer. But at the same time, part of me has felt, and I thought before I make any decision, I'll bring it to you, my Sheikh. And you can imagine what my answer was. Very clear, very politely, but laying it out that this is money that you're getting once, but see the bigger picture. Wallahi, he left the 9 million shillings that he was supposed to have on the contract. And I knew that min al-mu'minina rijalun sadaqu ma'ahadu alayh. There are people, there are believers amongst believers. If you think about 9 million Ugandan setting, even for a person here, I think it would be quite a temptation, but he forgot and left that. So the program is Come, Let's Talk with me, KASSIM KAYIRA. We are talking about faith meets or contradicts or versus dreams. You have a big dream, and then in the midst of that dream, you find yourself in that situation. As we went into the clip, Haj KASSIM had come on, laid a particular scenario that I would like to open up to you while we hear your particular experiences as well, just to sort of hear your take. I wanted to start from a religious perspective where I had laid out that from an Islamic perspective, the fact that the daughter has left Islam is no longer his responsibility. You remain a parent, you will be hurt if, you know, they've died or something has happened to them. But the fact that they have left the fold of Islam, they have chosen to live Islam, they have chosen to go and marry the other person, in what capacity then would you be handing over the daughter? Because you hand over a daughter in an Islamic perspective, in an Islamic way. Having failed on that, I think that would be definitely that. Nasa, I see your hand is up. I think from a religious perspective, and actually, even if you are to die, this child can no longer tasobola kusikira mu maalyo kasitaba nti no avudde mu Busiraamu. I'll bring this before Nasa goes ahead. And very interesting story again happened inside my family, my close family, relatives. An uncle dies. Amara okufa batuuka okugenda okugaba emaali. He had died about, well, byomu by'Abasiraamu bamanyi okugenda ne babirwisawo, which is anti-Islamic. Ne balwisawo okugaba emaali. Byatwala about 15, 20 years before they distributed his wealth. Bagenda okugaba emaali, basheekhe bazze bavudde ku supreme bazze bannyonnyodde abawala bafuna kimu kyakubiri ekyabalenzi oba abalenzi bafuna double what the boys abalenzi bafuna double what the girls get. Mu baana mwalimu abawala, abaana bawala baalinga 6 kati abawala baali 9 abalenzi 6. Omuwala omu n'avaamu n'aga nti how is it possible, buno obusiraamu bwakikula ki, buyina mazima ki obusalawo mbubuwe omuwala half y'abalenzi, bwe buba byebyo nze obusiraamu mbuvuddemu ate njagala emaali yange nze mugimpe nga bwenina okugimpa. The girl was so tough, neyekalakaasa nnyo. Kakati everybody kept quiet ne bagenda mu maaso n'okutegeka distribution nga bw'enaatambula. One of the sisters yali ategeera ku busiraamu goes to the side n'amugaa nti kati gwe n'okiguddeko because bagenda gaba emaali ogenda kujja nga ne ku listi toliiko, because in Uganda while there is secular law and you can go to the courts blah blah, ekiraamo ky'omuntu kye kisooka okubeera ku taking a precedent. Amateeka gafuga obusiraamu ebintu ga qadhi courts for example balina babizikirizaamu either ku issues z'obufumbo ne issues za inheritance. They are considering a lot of that even within Ugandan courts. Namugaa kati bw'oba nti ovudde mu busiraamu tokyalina yonna ku maali ya kitaawo. Mwana muwala yadduka emisinde okudda okwetonda naga nti akyali musiraamu asobola okufuna access onto the wealth. Nasa, your hand is up. Yes, please. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Hello, Nasa.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Go ahead.
Cautiously, I'll just humble reminder, I've just got the adhan of Maghrib, so let's try and factor in Salah, inshallah.
Okay.
I will quickly, I wanted to share also after listening to that video of that Ukhti Fillah. Experience that I went through in terms of, as you've said, the heading is you know, Islam versus your dreams.
Oh, right, yes.
Concept, interesting concept. When I moved to the UK some decades back, I had some very, very good friends. Yes, alhamdulillah, from a Muslim background, that is myself. You get into the love of music, and before you know it, I had some very good influential OBs who were like from a music industry background. And so next thing you know, we decided to go into music, you know, got a record label, said, you know what, it's about maybe getting into management. So we established and even started getting artists from across Europe coming to the UK and so forth. And alhamdulillah, I still maintained my deen, and amazing thing happened. It was one Ramadan. It was at the masjid, and I just got speaking to this brother, actually a namesake of mine. And he was like, oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm a student, I'm doing marketing. Okay, what do you want to do with your marketing and management? Oh, I want to, we've started actually, you know, a record label. So, okay, what's your ambition with that? Says, oh, yes, from the money that I make from the record label, I want to be able to build masjids and hospitals in Uganda, in East Africa, basically, you know, Uganda, Congo, and Rwanda and Tanzania and so forth. Says, okay, that's amazing. But do you realize that the money that you make from music is all haram? And so as well-intentioned as you are, you will not get any barakah for it. And that really hit me. And subhanallah, I know and I knew very, very good artists. I knew very, very good music producers. I knew very, very good managers. And I was like at that focal point where I was the connection for all these three, and would be very, very well established and successful in the music industry, you know. And I had to really sit back and say, if this truly has no barakah, then I don't want anything to do with it. And from that moment on, I stepped back from it. And as many times the friend of mine who I was involved with would always call me back, say, listen, we're doing great things. We're now even doing it in Uganda. You know, we have, I don't want to mention artists' names, but, you know, I'm very, very successful. You know, he's even bought me a house in Munyonyo and all these kind of things, subhanAllah, with a swimming pool. You know, Nasa, I want you to get involved. You know, you're very, very creative. And I was like, I would humbly, you know, just not say, oh, I'm a Muslim, I'm not going to do this, it's haram. No, no, no. I would just humbly say, it's not for me. It's not for me. And we maintain that friendship and, you know, relationship as friends. And I just stepped away from it. I just completely stepped away from it because I said, you know what? This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, prefers. Then, and is Ar-Razak. Is Ar-Razak. And because I've always had a love for trying to seek the knowledge, which we all have. When you have a good understanding of the Hadith Qudsi that talks about, you know, your sustenance and how the pain has been lifted, maybe you can quote it. You know, whatever is meant for you, no one can take it away from you. Once you have the yaqeen about that, then it helps put things in perspective. And secondly, and most importantly, we are travelers in this dunya. The ultimate success, the ultimate everything is inshallah for all of us on this call and all we love, Jannah Firdaus al-A'la.
So Nasa, did your dream then change? Because this had been your sort of dream to become, you know, to become successful in the music industry, and you had managed almost to cross the line by making this particular huge decision in life.
Yes.
Did your dreams change? Did you divert to a different dream, or how did you cope with what was supposed to be a dream that had now been frustrated by your finding of faith?
First, it wasn't frustration. It wasn't, first of all, a frustration. It was a clarity. And
no,
in terms
by frustration, what I meant is getting in the way or frustrated in that context, as in this was the dream, but the moment religion came in, the moment clarity came to you, you had to sort of backtrack. In that backtracking, I'm referring to that as a frustration, sort of frustration in the context of that, like the psychological bit of it.
It was ease because really and truly, Sheikh KASSIM, I knew it. But sometimes someone has to give you that reminder. You know,
for reality to set in.
Yes, for the reality, because subhanAllah, it was Ramadan, we were in the masjid, you know, and all of this. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put me in this state and in this place that really helped me, you know, to then wash my eyes out of the illusion of what I thought my dream was. And so I took it.
No, barakallahu fikum. I mean, it's quite interesting. I mean, I remember we had a conversation with a friend some time back when I'd just come here. I think when I just arrived in this country, there was about around 2003-ish. There was a person who won a lot of millions in Euro millions through the lottery. And deep in my heart, I was sort of saying, yeah, if I won that money, I would build mosques. You see the whole idea of the mosque that you're talking about. Until the reality, you know, came to me, because now this was coming from a person who had the knowledge. You know, there are times when you're coming from a point of ignorance and therefore you can manage to get away with it. But from a situation where you are fully aware of what is on, but then shaitan is also pushing on the other hand, your faith is sort of fighting with that.
Yes.
And just the fact that when you mention mosque, you feel like you're doing the right thing and therefore trying to justify yourself. I win the lottery, then I'll build mosques and schools which would benefit Muslims and so on. And then you realize it will be haram, which cannot then come to create halal. Well, before I let you go, Nasa, you mentioned, well, Maghrib has gone. Of course, we are on different time zones, wherever we are. And therefore, if you can, if anyone wants to drop off for Maghrib, you can drop off and then come back, please. But for those of us, some of us will be continuing in the conversation. Before you go, I don't know whether you had, Haji KASSIM had come on and raised an important question, and I would like to hear your personal views on this. Considering now your own decision in this matter, I would like to hear, Haji KASSIM says, you are, you know, I'm here, A daughter comes to me and says, Dad, I've found the man of my dreams. Remember talking about dreams? But then
Yes.
this person is not Muslim. And the daughter is even deciding as well to leave Islam to go and follow the man. In going to follow the man of her dreams, leaving Islam, now he's asking, would I, and the daughter had come to seek his blessings, for the marriage and, accept the man to marry the daughter. And he was asking, in a situation like that, what would be your view? How would you deal with that?
First of all, we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we don't have that trial, and may Allah grant him tawfiq in that matter. Yeah, because it's a very tough situation to be in. However, from what what tends to happen is that it's normally the man who converts to Islam, whether it is cosmetically or otherwise. But if someone chooses to leave the fold of Islam, we are, subhanallah, it's not easy. And may Allah grant this Sheikh Tawfiq and Sakina, because we have in the Quran the examples of the Anbiya alayhi salam. The first one that comes to mind is Nuh alayhi salam.
Nuh alayhi salam, yes.
Nuh alayhi salam, when he was going on the ship and his son said, I prefer this, where I think I find security, going on the mountaintop, and it turned out to be not the case. So, and that's his son. And then we know the story of Lut alayhi salam and his wife. And so the deen gives us clarity in terms of your family are those who are on the deen. And also we know the story of Al-Khidr alayhi salam and the story of the child who he killed and the hikmah that concerned that, so it's not easy when we are not in the Sheikh's shoes. We can only suppose. And so I can only give examples from the dalil of the deen. I cannot really relay my own opinions because it's a very, very...
No, but Nasser, the idea was about you putting yourself in his shoes. And we said, God forbid, but if it was to happen, and stuff does happen, because we've had even some sheikhs, inside the sheikh's home. You've seen some of the girls who have gone to these Pentecostal churches. Girl stands on Kadara. Yes, we understand. And everybody claps. This is also, and if you don't want to find yourself in that situation, go ahead.
Let's also balance this and say even there's some boys that do this. Okay.
Oh, so no, but what I mean with girls, it's heavier. It's a lot heavier, and we've had more cases, like of girls as opposed to boys. But it doesn't matter whether it's boy or girl, but it's still your child.
It's a child,
and it hurts.
It's not necessarily heavier because the boy carries your name.
Yes.
So it's not necessarily heavier. But let's say your child does that, boy or girl. I would have to, at this point in time, because I've not experienced it, I will have to rely on the dalil that I've given you from Nuh alayhi salam, where it says that then that child has but you have to use hikmah. And the hikmah here is that the child may become a murtadeen, okay, goes with this illusion of a dream man, where in the dunya, nothing is perfect. And then she realizes later on, this is actually a mistake that I did.
Don't you think, though, Nasser, and probably I'll let you go on this and bring in more people into the conversation. I'm just thinking that it also has to do with the parent.
Of course it does.
Yes, because there are particular situations where this is a no-go area. Sometimes as parents, I think we have tried to compensate so much, to overcompensate for the things that we never got by being so lenient to our children and in the process spoiling them, not providing those particular red lines. There are those areas that that these are no-go zones, that whatever I do, I could do whatever I do, but the moment I reach this, I cross this bridge, then it's almost a river of no return. Once you lay these particular barriers or obstacles or principles, and the person knows beyond this, I can never have a conversation around this. Probably that might be the other way to deal with it, don't you think?
I agree, because as a parent, we cannot step away from that accountability, as painful as it is. And sometimes, you know, as a parent, and may Allah guide us all as parents in raising our children, especially right now in the time of great fitna, you know, with everything that is going on, we really have to build a strong relationship with our children. And also guidance comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's a balance, you know, because there's a way of how the hadith says you raise your children from such and such an age. When they reach the age of 21, they have already formed their own opinion. So before that time, and if you look at it, there is so much barakah from Allah in terms of how you raise your child, you know, about if I have two daughters, we know the hadith. So yes, there is accountability to be held by the parents as well. And that is something that is undeniable.
Thank you very much, Nasser.
That's a bear in mind that. But lastly,
oh, sorry. It looks like I muted you accidentally. Go ahead.
That's me. I just wanted to quickly share one last 1 minute experience, which is that whenever I search for employment, at the interview, I always let them know that first, I am a Muslim, I perform my salah, and on Fridays, I go to the masjid. So that is something that I'm just sharing with you. I'm not sharing it out of pride, but because
lay out very clearly, yes.
I lay it out. Why? Because Allah is Ar-Razak. Allah is the one who's going to give me this job, not those people across the table. Right. So inshallah, may Allah give us that strength of understanding and clarity that He is Ar-Razak. The more we know His attributes and His names, may Allah guide us all. And
thank you very much, Nasser. No. That's quite detailed. Haj Kassim nkomawo joli, and simply because nalyagadde kwanga kinazi maybe naibadde natandikidde kwali badde kubuuza mu mbeera eyo gwokaki. What would you do? How would you deal with the situation? Because wajiresenga scenario, but I wanted to also hear and what did the religious bit naye gwenga kugwe omuzadde mukalubirirwa ne mukuzitwalirwa okw'ekitalo. How would you deal with it? Haj Kassim. Haj Kassim Muchariu.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Mbere yo jendese scenario nene nnyo nti eri obanga nti living example sikugamba nti byakugezesa bugezesa. Si byakugezesa.
So nange kyemba dembuza nti n'okola otya wakola otya?
Anti Sheikh obusiraamu kye butugamba kiri clear, kiri straight clear.
Yes.
Ffenna tumanyi obusiraamu kye butegeeza ku nsonga eyo nti ekintu bwe kiba kigaanye kituuse ku eyo situation oba okivaamu buvi.
Naye waliwo n'ekirala maybe omuntu kyalina okukkaatiriza kubanga in the countries where we live, environment abaana mwe bazine, there are particular things that have been made to look normal yet they are not normal.
Exactly.
One other thing kyendoza kyemuntu kyasobola okukola kwe kusooka okubuulirira. Nosooka okubuulirira, yes, ojja kuteekawo obukambwe olage nti that's a no-go area, naye oteekewo embeera ey'okubuulirira. Abantu there are people who have been advised ne babuulirirwa, cancelled and come back. N'agenda ne yeetoolwa n'akola by'akoze aba atuuseyo Allah n'amukomyawo n'amulungamya. So not giving up, I think, is a very, very important step. In case this situation comes to you, the first thing is take a mokubulira. Take a mokubulira. You never know, through that Allah inzo kuisizamu and makes it easier for you. Do not give up. Muganda agera olugero naga nti asiika obulamu tassa mukono buno bulamu because this is your life, this is your offspring. Okuba nti ogezaako okuteekawo embeera wakati w'okulaga nti mu Busiraamu that's a no-go area naye kati n'okugezaako okumaking sure nti at least ono omwana aleeta omuluuzi nga ogezeeko okubaako bw'omuzza naye leka mpulireko ne ku bannaffe abalala kye balowooza
kakati Sheikh kyembadde njaga kamalirize kakati bw'aba nga otuuse kw'eyo embeera n'ogaa nti sijja kukkiriza n'okugenda sigenda ku mikolo kati n'anyiiga n'akugamba n'anyiiga nga bw'omanyi abaana naye kati n'alaba nti afunye obusungu buyitirivu okutuuka okugamba nti oba tabeera tatanga alekeyo.
Yes.
Kati situation eyo ogikola otya okumuyita
ekyo Haji Kassim kati alhamdulillah kubanga nze ng'omuzadde the first instance kwe kulaga nti one eyo red line ku Musiraamu ekintu ekizeemu obutali Busiraamu that is very clear naye ate gwe ng'omuzadde obutalaga busungu okuba nti olekawo embeera ey'okuba nti ogenda mu mbeera ey'okubuulirira ogezeeko okuwooyawooya kubanga mwana watuukira okugaa nti agenze n'abeera n'omuntu atali Musiraamu n'abeera naye to the point where they get to a point of even coming ajje asobole okuba nti amukyusa. There is definitely something that has been going on naye tusayidi eyo ng'omuzadde where you have to take responsibility. Naye tuzaala mibiri tetuzaala myoyo. In a situation like that you have to lay your grounds very clear. Kino mu Busiraamu tekiyitawo. But also too mwana wange ekyali mwana wange, is there anything that we can do about it? Ogezeeko kubanga olinga akyabayinga okuwooyawooya. Ayingidde mu ganti oba tokyayita taata wange olekeyo. I mean, you can't do anything about it. Your anger, it's a momentary thing, it would come back to haunt the person. Anybody who understands to go into marriage, nga toyina backup from home, you always need this backup. A lot of times we get excited when people are getting married and you get excited, you lose focus. No nanga love ye kuli kumutwe kati obanga ejjini eri kulinnye nga terina bakutereera batojja kutereera. Until reality sets in, then you start realizing why you need family, why you need people around you. And then it rings a bell and you start appreciating this. So in the context of this, one, you have to show that's a red line, ng'Omusiraamu, but also two, okulekawo room for the person to be able to come back. Ultimately, whatever you do. Let me hear, let's open up the microphone for others. Hajat NK, how would you deal with a situation like this? And Hajat Sir, I've seen your message regarding, well, I'm talking about a girl, but of recent also both have denounced Islam and gone to Christianity. Yes, well, this is a general, because it's because this is, as has been laid out, this is not a scenario, this is a real life situation. And Haj Kassim was talking about this, painting a picture. So I went by that. Hajat Sarah, let's get your reaction onto this. How would you deal with a situation like this? Because now this is faith coming to fight with one's dream. Lady finds the man of her dreams, and then, but there is this obstacle.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's a very big challenging situation that any parent could be faced with, especially if you are someone who believes in your religion. It is quite challenging, but on top of talking to that person or your child, I would also continue with prayer, because mostly I think prayer could also have more strength in helping you deal with that kind of situation, but it's very challenging. And I've seen parents very devastated when such a thing has happened to them. Mm-hmm. It's not anything anyone would want to happen to their children, or whether boys or girls, but it is happening and very common these days. I've heard of parents who are complaining. One mom has had like 5 of her children all married non-Muslims, and also another mom has had his son father children who are not Muslim, and also he seems not to be in the religion himself, because he's named children the names which are not Islam. He keeps on denying that he hasn't gone to that Christianity religion, but there is no practice in his home, and the parents are really worried. And some have really said, no, I don't understand. Well, there is one who denounced Islam because he claimed that all the time when he hears sermons of Islam, they're only talking about hellfire. And for him, he couldn't stomach that. He was like, it is too much for him. They never talk about anything good. Yet in Christianity, they are promising them heaven no matter what you've done. You sin today, tomorrow you can go to heaven. So for him, the main thing that made him not want to know about Islam anymore is because of all sheikhs will get onto the whenever they are giving sermons, all they say is about hellfire. He doesn't seem like he thinks
like
Islam
in Islam,
is not a
there's
happy
no good
religion.
news. There's no good news.
It's not a happy religion. It's all about scaring people.
Hellfire.
And for him, he couldn't take that anymore. He said, no, I'd rather go to a place where I'm promising heaven and where I'm happy, sing unhappy. There is no music in Islam. For him, everything about Islam is not what he liked.
So now, this was a scenario. This was a scenario, Hajat Sarah, that was brought to us by Haj KASSIM. But our topic definitely is much wider. It wasn't just about the marriage aspect. The story itself, even for those who have just joined us,
it does really go into our topic today, because it's a dream of every parent to have their children follow their footsteps. Yeah, you want to have children who are right. What can I say? Who are obedient, who will follow your religion,
who follow your footpaths.
Yeah, that's what you want. It's your dream.
No, the reason I was saying that Haj KASSIM had raised the question, I was saying that I was trying to come to you now to see where you've had a situation of clash, and which might not necessarily be about the scenario that Haj KASSIM has brought. So I was coming to you now because I began by asking you to react to the question or the scenario that Haj KASSIM had raised, but then coming to you now, is there a time, the situation that you have found yourself probably clashing, your faith clashing with your dreams?
Work, especially when you're in these European countries, is work mainly. You want to earn money and get employed and get money because you got things you want to do back home. You want to build your houses, you want to educate your children, but then sometimes you find that you find it difficult to dress the way you would want to be. Yeah, and it is hurtful because some places you're not accepted. You present very odd. You are a Muslim. You dress in a way that some people find don't look at as something they are comfortable with.
So it's not the company that is outrightly coming out to say you can't dress like that, but once you dress your way, then it sort of rubs people the wrong way. They make a point of that.
Yeah, even some people would come and ask you, why do you have to have that thing on your head? They'll call it that thing.
That thing.
Yeah, that thing on your head. And if you're working with vulnerable people like autistic children, they say that some of them don't want to see someone covered like that. So it could be a problem. Yeah. One time I was coming out of a lift and someone was trying to get in the lift, and the moment they saw me, they were so frightened, like they had met maybe a ghost coming out of the lift. And the lady took steps back and you could see fear all written over her face. So you sometimes look what you're supposed to look, but you're very conscious of it and you're not comfortable.
Sarah, stay there. I've just heard from Ryan Serwada here who says, even as a child, I can relate with that. I want to bring him in and then continue with you. Ryan, are you there? Assalamu alaikum. Hello, Ryan. He just made a comment and then disappeared. I think I saw him and then he's disappeared. But he says, as a child, even I can relate to what she's saying. Yeah, Hajat Sarah. Well, now the dilemma is it sometimes a complex that we have within our own selves that we find that we can't, you know, like probably we feel the complex. Do we develop this inferiority complex? Because sometimes I think you rub it into someone's face and then it becomes a normal thing. Like it becomes normal. Is there some normality that would arise out of one deciding now to make sure that you can stand your ground? Because I've seen, for example, like with Nigerians, many of our Nigerian colleagues, you see them in the situation where come in, they'll go in, and the way they deal with the situation, you don't bring nonsense to them. They will just put it straight to your face. And they've managed really to sort of rise up in positions and so on, not necessarily because they are cleverer than other Black people, but they stand their ground, and we don't. We seem to be very polite. Ugandans, Kenyans, very polite, and therefore sometimes, could it be a complex that sometimes we have within ourselves as Muslims, where probably you'd have stood your ground, or as an African? Because take it beyond even religion, take it even to race.
I don't think we have any inferiority complex.
Mm.
It's normal for someone to feel unsafe. I do work many places which are out. I think the most comfortable place I find myself living in is London, because there the lots of different tribes, different races, different religions, and there are many Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're to go up country, like one time I worked in Wales, close to Wales, and there is a village called Banamon-Sea, and I could hardly see any Black person, no, let alone see any Muslim person. So you walk in fear. You don't know what they will do. And during that time, those who claim to be Muslims were also killing people. Yeah. And we are labeled with that. Much as you don't have any idea, you don't even want to hear about that, people will still look at you as one of them. So every time when I've worked in a place, you find they are directing questions to you. They're even doubting what you believe in, because they think you're people who are causing trouble. You're people who kill. And all the time you're trying to defend yourself. Yeah, in a polite way. And when you talk about trying to impose yourself on others, I think you have to measure the situation and try that. You try to go in slowly, not use the kind of assertiveness or whatever aggressiveness the Nigerians use. You find that even us who are Black, we wouldn't want to work with Nigerians sometimes because of their aggression, the way they talk to people, the way they do their things. They're even labeled as cheats. So you don't want to identify yourself with them. So it's sometimes good for you to measure the situation, see how easily you come in. I've been asserted myself as a Muslim wherever I am, and I make sure that I tell them that yes, I do pray, and I try to use my break times to do that, so that I don't compromise. Or cheat them of their time. Because it's not right, and it won't send a good image, and I will not get a good reference from them. Because it will be one of the things they would write down, and she goes to pray. One woman said, I pray 10 times a day. The good thing, when she complained about that, my manager knew something about Islam, and they could defend me. But how would you come out of that if someone said, oh, she's praying every minute? Yeah. For her, it is like you're praying every minute.
No, I've had that around me as well, and I never had to justify myself in any way or shape or form. Sarah, thank you very much. I'll just
thank you so much.
Else here. It's 9:47. It's just 13 minutes to 10 o'clock and to the end of the program. Oh my God, time flies so fast when things are interesting. Mr. Gipiri and Labongo, I saw you last week. I was trying to see if I can get you in. I'd like to hear from you, and then I'll come to Habiba and Anissa there, just to hear your own takes about where faith clashes with dreams. You have bigger dreams, and have you had a situation where you've had to go down that route? Mr. Gipiri and Labongo. Hello. I saw you last week, and the name just reminds me my history lessons, and I just wanted to hear from you. Mr. Gipiri? Hello, Mr. Gipiri. Well, as you make up your mind, or just unmute. When you're ready, I'll come to you. Habiba, Sister Habiba, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the meantime, as Habiba is coming, quick message here from the chat room. Aisha passionately saying one of the most famous men in Kampala, Atenga Munene in Islam, works in Hajj and Umrah, gave out his daughter to a Christian because he promised that he would not. He promised him, Buno, there won't be any polygamy. Bought him a 7 million sofa. He says, Mbusente wekuba egonzao. His daughter is well. That's all. Habiba, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Hey, good to have you on. It's been quite a while. Well, tonight's conversation is about faith versus dreams, and you know, we based on this Somali girl, but now we've delved out into our own personal experiences. Have you had a situation where, you know, you've found yourself, you know, with your faith clashing with your dreams, and how did you go about that?
Not really. Mine also is about work.
Yes.
But as one sister, the first sister said, when most of the time we just have that fear when we go at work, you don't express yourself that you are a Muslim. You think that maybe when you say you are a Muslim, they will look you down. But me also, my first job here, someone who directed me to go there, she told me, oh, when you go with the hijab, maybe they will not give you the job. But I went with my hijab, and alhamdulillah, I got the job. Mm-hmm. And another scenario was, I went to a training in Brighton. After the, in between, we had a break. So I asked if I could get somewhere to pray. Then the lady told me, oh, I can look somewhere for a free room where you can go and do your prayers. So she asked me where I normally work. And she asked me that, do they provide you with this service? I told her, yes, we have a prayer place. So she said that she's gonna talk to the people in charge in Brighton so that they can provide a place for people who want to pray, any religion, but they must look for like a place to people who want to pray, and they can provide it for them. So that for me, in mind, I said, oh, if we don't let them know, they will not know. If you keep quiet and you don't ask, they will not know that you are in need of something. So sometimes it's about us, the fear we have.
It's about you, the person coming out. Yes. Thank you very much, Sister Habiba.
No.
Sister Hasfa Kasuja here says certain sports are challenging for Muslims, even with Nike making bikinis. Oh no, it's burkinis or bikinis and headgear, burqas. Some sports aren't catered for. I mean, it's only this year women in England have been fighting. Actually, it started in England, but then it's sort of spread out, and I think it's going to now become a global thing. I think some of the big cloth making companies are coming in now to consider that. Women have been complaining, especially the English team, where they have to wear white shorts. And so many women, for example, when they are in their periods now, felt very uncomfortable going into competitive sports, you know, in that particular situation where a stain could easily, you know, like appear on a white jersey, and it would look totally different. It's been a big fight. It's only, you know, this year, I think in late March, going into April, that they have approved finally that they are going now to be making shorts that are different colors, not white, as the national uniform, to allow women to be able to cater for that. Probably now the next level would be if women can be allowed, for example, well, if you can wear long trousers while playing, to be able to accommodate, because now all of this, it just means that if a woman was going to go and play football, a Muslim woman, she would have to wear, you know, those pair of shorts, and that of course now is crossing the line in the context of Islam. And therefore, I mean, just looking at this very story of tonight, you just see that around that, even within competitive sports, there's still a lot of issues that are coming up. I've seen in some sports like javelin, I think, long jump, I've seen that now women were able to wear their hijabs, and they don't necessarily have to wear, you know, the small, tiny bikini type sort of wear for the competitions. Well, the program is Come Let's Talk with me, KASSIM KAYIRA. Very interesting conversation going on. And remember, you can have your say. In case you miss out on anything, definitely you can catch up on the program. Just look for www.75wradio.com or just go to Ummah Connected on YouTube and you'll be able to catch up with the programs. Sister Hafsa, go ahead, please. I can see your hand is up.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, your reaction to Bilqis's story.
Oh, she's an amazing young lady. She is an amazing young lady and an inspiration to many Muslim young girls. But I have to say that in this fight for the young Muslim women fighting to wear their hijab, we need the brothers, the fathers, the men to stand with us, because it's the men who always, I don't know, bebasinga okwagala okulaba obumpi obusikati obumpi bwe musinze okwagala okulemesa ennyambala eyo okusinga okubeera as bad as it is. You think about tennis. And just to put in her tights inside, it was such a big problem. But if even as we women stand up to say, no, this is what we want you, the fathers, the husbands, the men, to say no. Help us, stand with us as we try to fight it, as we try to advocate to let our sisters wear the burkinis, to put on their hijab, to wear tights when they have, like the short skirts, and at least even if it's running, so they can allow them. But if you men keep quiet, and it probably is the biggest market in sports, it's the men who watch it the most. Singa namwe muyimirira ne mugamba nti abaana baffe ab'obuwala banayinedda mutuyambe, I think some of these changes will be done. Never more get awkward praising all these other ones as you see them in their little mini skirts, the Serena Williams and how they used to wear and how it become fashion statements.
Yes.
Then it doesn't help. Hey.
No, understandably so. And I mean, well, it goes beyond. In Uganda now, there's a huge debate. There was a letter that was written by the Catholic Church protesting against the introduction of Islamic banking, because they were saying the banks like Centenary are just simply going to die off very quickly. And yet, because Islamic banking was going to come, it's interest-free and people would have access to money. The surprising thing is that the Ugandan government has already received a lot of money that is interest-free from the Islamic Development Bank. Some money was channeled through the Microfinance Support Center, which is supposed to be halal money. So basically, it has supposed to be taken in without, we make profit, but there is no interest. And guess what? Well, the debate is still continuing. So there are all these different areas that is not just within sports. You're looking at all these different areas where you've had a situation where, well, maybe you have to make a decision, you make a stance. It will be interesting just to hear what you have had to do. Well, when in a situation where your faith, that regardless of whether you're Muslim, you're Christian, you're Jewish, when your faith has come to face, well, your dreams, what your decision has been. Shamim, salamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. You've been there in Kamori. I think I'd rather bring you out of the Kamori. Hello, Shamim. Hello, Shamim. Salamu alaikum. And it's 3 minutes to the top of the hour. Quite tight. Let me bring in Aida Sonko. Hello, Aida. Hello, Aida. For those who have just joined, this conversation is always an open conversation. Everybody's an expert, and therefore you come in to have a say. Akamori utukane tukakugobamu by force. Otherwise, that's how we have conversations. Well, are you there? Ajat Farida Ntegi, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Mkurengedde sinza kuleka kugenderawo. Welcome to the conversation. Hello, Farida.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so cool. How are you feeling?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
Ameen, ameen. Well, we are talking about faith and dreams, the clash between faith and dreams. Have you had a situation that you have found yourself having to make a decision, either faith or to pursue your dreams?
Not one that I can think of. No,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So Kabadeka Keka, it's been smooth sailing throughout for you. You've not had any particular challenges, and it does not have necessarily. That's why I was saying I wanted us to think outside, to sort of take it beyond just the religion. Think in terms of, you know, other things. It might be your color become an impediment to your promotion at work, and you know your dream is to get to a certain level, and then you find yourself being unable to get there simply because of whatever else you have. It might be your religion, it might be your color, it might be your sex.
Not one I can share now. Share.
Nothing comes to mind.
No, not at the moment.
Okay.
And I have a network
Barakallah.
problem here. I won't be able to.
You have what?
Network problem.
Ah, right. Okay, understandably. Thank you very much. At least you've taken you've taken my call. You didn't remain in Kamoli quietly there. Bwana Isa Makumbi, salamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello, engineer. Are you there? Ya Rabbi, is the network playing up all tonight? Naam?
Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. So, but then so I was wondering what happened to you again.
I was just listening.
Microphone wagireseko n'otambulamu.
Nenda sebo.
Sebo jeba.
Ngale nyawo jeba sebo.
Oh, ne Aida naenda baze. Aida so is with us. Maenda munonyeza nga ndaba tajja. Engineer kwatira kwawo nso nkwate Aida wano manga tanambulako umufuna wadde lutalo. Aida, salamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you today?
Alhamdulillah, Sheikh.
Ameen. Well, we are talking about dreams versus our faith, or your faith. Have you had any situation that has put that to the challenge?
Not really. Well, 50-50.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about the 50 that has challenged.
Well, at my workplace, it's very difficult. Basically, being a black person and then you're a Muslim, it's very difficult, you know, to go, you know, like get a promotion, you know. You have to struggle. Always they just look at, you know, white people, non-Muslim. And I think being a Muslim, some of the area where we live, I think is a taboo.
Yes.
Yeah, because even sometimes when you say, oh, I'm going to pray. Oh, how many times do you pray? You know,
that's always a question that keeps coming up. People imagine you just do Dhuhr and Asr and it already looks like too much.
At times I have to take my phone and I show them the timetable. I say, this is the timetable. This is the time I pray. And some they refer that, oh, I go to smoke only just once. I said, but there's a difference between smoking and praying. You know, I'm just, you know, praying. So at times, you know, I say, you know what? I'll leave my break. I'll pray in my break. So I won't eat. And so, no, you have to eat. I said, well, I need to pray, you know, because they give you 30 minutes break.
Yes.
30 minutes break. You can't pray and at the same time you eat. I'm a slow eater. I can't eat in those few minutes. I say, you know, I'd rather leave the food. Then I go and pray. So, and then getting a promotion, they say, oh, she's always praying, you know, if there is something, you know.
So your prayer now might affect work.
Yes, like last week, I went to pray, and then one of the doctor requested for some blood, and then the sister said, "Oh, go tell her to take the blood." And then my colleague, she was looking for me. When I came back, she didn't say anything. That, oh, they told you to take blood. So I just sat down to do my notes, and then the sister came and said, "Did you take the blood?" I said, "Which one?" I said, and then my colleague said, "She was praying." So the sister was not happy. She just looked at me and walked away. So,
so how do you think you would be able to get around, especially the promotion issue? Because you see from the story of Bilqis that we saw, she took her fight, to the front. She tried to mobilize. So what would you do to make sure at least you are in the line for appointment?
I think in our organization, if there are some Muslim people, they have to speak for us, because I remember there was a Mauritian sister. She left, she retired. She used to wear the hijab, a long sleeve one, because our uniform was different from everyone.
Yeah.
So she said, if you're not going to give me, she was a sister, very, qualified. And she was a Mauritian. And she said, I want my uniform to be a long sleeve. I said, according to the nursing, standard, you're not supposed to wear that. She said, well, I'll leave the job. So she fought, and then she won. So her uniform was a long sleeve one, though you're supposed to wear like a short sleeve, because I used to wear some inner on top of my uniform. I used to wear some inner, top inside, and then I was told to fold it. So it's very difficult. So our organization, we need some Muslim people like on top to fight for us. Like, somebody.
Could it be that it's also about us sometimes? Because the way you've just mentioned that Mauritian who stood her ground and made her case, and
she did.
Ended up getting allowed.
She was a manager. She was a manager
senior,
of one of the
okay,
private boards.
Understandably so. All
yeah,
right.
me, I can't speak for myself. No one.
Well, you can. You're already speaking for yourself now.
I do try, but she was, Mauritian, they're like white people, some of them,
Yes.
So there's a difference between me and her. So
no, understand.
That's the problem we have. So for me, that's the challenge I have, to go
now,
ahead.
If your daughters wanted to pursue sport and you are seeing if you've struggled yourself there, how did you think you'd be able to push and pursue, for example, the school authorities or the competing authorities, the competitive authorities, to allow her to be able to?
Both my daughters, one she does play, she plays hockey, and then the older one play hockey, and she does rugby.
Oh, and hockey, I know those flying little skirts that are almost not there.
Yes, she does, but
she wear?
She's got for their school, they have a long legging, and then they have a skirt. So she puts on a skirt, a mini skirt, and the legging.
And the legging.
The same with the younger one. She plays netball, but she's got both of them. You have to buy them if you want them to dress like that.
Right.
So I had to buy them.
How about rugby now?
Rugby?
Yes, you said one plays rugby.
She dresses like that. She puts on her inner, and then if she's not going to wear the inner, she wears the track suit.
Yes.
Yeah. So
are they able to play rugby with the tracksuit?
She does. Even she plays with a headscarf on. She never takes it off. Both of them, they do.
Can it not be dangerous though with the head? Because I'm wondering with the roughness in rugby, if you have that pin that is holding the veil, would that pin not
the way she does a veil is so funny. She does it around the neck, and then she folds it, she wraps it and put it around the neck, and then it's really funny, because one day I asked her, does the scarf fall off? And she said, no, it doesn't. I play with it. Right. So she's just used to it now, because she cannot take it off, only in the house, because even going to the shops.
Barakallahu bikum. Thank you very much, Aida Sonko there. Engineer, back to you, Sevo, and we will wrap with Musa Rugemwa. Nisa went very quiet and was not coming on to speak. Engineer, are you back?
I think this one depends on an individual.
Yeah, and I would be very interested because your life has sort of spanned across countries. I'm looking at Soviet Union, I'm looking at United Kingdom, I'm looking at United States, where you have found yourself. Have you ever had a situation where, for example, your faith has clashed with your dreams?
When I was in Moscow, it was not allowed to go and pray. It was, but was discouraged. And the places of worship was made very ugly. Fastings were non-existent. And you never stand up on Fridays. You used to have a meeting with some of the advisors or lecturers advising you, say that there is no God. I think you've been brainwashed. So the way forward is to go by Lenin theory, whereby God is not existing.
But so for the time that you were there, prayer was out for you.
Prayer was, we used to do it secretly, but in public it was not. It was discouraged, and if you persist, you used to have a lot of problems with academic work. So they make the work a bit harder. So the only thing was done secretly to avoid clashing with the authority. But when I was here, people have been talking about limitation. I think it depends on an individual. I worked with local authority. I've been the chief executive fighting for Muslims' rights, and I go out to all the grants. In our place, we had the worship place. It was mandated to have it. Fridays, we made arrangement with the chief executive, whereby between 12 up to 2, you could go and pray as long as you make your hours. Eid, I explained to them that for us, you never know the day for Eid. It depends on the appearance of the moon. But I used to advise the management that if the moon appears, you won't see them in the mosque at work, because that's how religion is. And during Ramadan, we could allow us to come in at 7 and leave at 3. I think it depends on an individual. If you take, because there are laws over there, this is clear, the laws are there. But most of us have got no guts to challenge the management. And that's why everything laps up, and then you blame the authority or the establishment. Act is there. If you are refused, you can revoke those acts and you can challenge it. And if you stand your ground, we are willing. But I'm hard where I was so vocal. Now they're sliding back because people are not taking on to the management. But when I was leaving, I was encouraging them that these are things that you need to take on. But they think that if you are an activist, you can't be promoted. But when I used to talk to the management quietly, they say we need people to talk and tell us to know what's going on. And they need to consult. You say most of the things we do, we don't know, we're not familiar with it. But if you bring those issues to us, we'll deal with them. And I used to see Catholics, they say there are places there, but you used to say between this and this, I have to go to the quiet room and read my Bible and know it is. Yes. It was acceptable. But for us, we don't go for that, and we blame the management. And Jumas, when I was there, everybody was at politics. They knew that I couldn't miss the Juma. I say how? Because this is what they call local understanding, local agreements. You go into those, you can negotiate all those, but we don't do that. We are scared that if I challenge them away, I might lose the job. The laws are there. I believe you, and I tell you. But the only thing is just have to have a tough skin to take the management on, and they will accept it. When I was in Croydon, where I was, we have worship places everywhere. Though it became a problem for me, I organized those areas, but people were not turning up for prayer. So I had to go out, so that they could see the cameras, could pick it up, because the machines were never going, used to give the graph, how active it was. But it was there. So the only thing is try, laws are there, you have whatever you want. That's what they call equal opportunity.
Barakallahu fikum. Thank you very much, Issa Makumbi. And probably that brings us to the end of tonight's program. 12 minutes over time, simply because we started late, especially with that clip that was giving us headaches. I thank you very much for making the time tonight. Inshallah, we shall be meeting next week. Remember, if you miss anything in this program, you can still catch up. Just go online on Facebook. Just look for facebook.com/75W Radio, or go to YouTube and search for Ummah Connected. Ummah is UMMA and Connected, and then just look for Come Let's Talk with KAYIRA. It's been a pleasure having you tonight. Anissa, Hajara, Habiba, Issa Makumbi, Isma Omugore. We pray that Madam gets better, and baby also is keeping well. Sauda Hassan, thank you very much. Farida Antege Hasfa, all the way in the United States. Musa Rugemwa, you were very quiet today. I was hoping to come to you, but it looks like time wasn't on our side. Haj Kassim for a very interesting question that actually took the debate into overdrive today. I thank you very much, Aida Sonko and Hajjat Sara, as usual, and Shamim. Hope to see you next week, inshallah, same time, 8 p.m. Have a very good night. In Newcastle here and Sunderland, you can't even find anywhere to pass. Beyonce is in town and it's a nightmare. All the people in London have left to come to Sunderland tonight and be part of whatever is happening here. Of course, for us here, we shall go into our Maghrib and Isha. Thank you very much. Hope to see you next week. We do not take your time for granted. We thank you very much and hope to see you next week, inshallah. Please keep time. 8 p.m. is our kickoff time every Tuesday. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Remember, you can catch up with other programs on Ummah Connected on Wednesday, Sheikh Ismail in Qatar on Thursdays. Oh my God, all the week there are programs that are going on MC as well. Programs on Mondays, on Fridays, on Sunday. Sheikh Sek is still there. Oh, and then hope to see you again as we continue with our programs. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us together, give us a better community, and help us to build what is good for our children for the future to come. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much and hope to see you